All right, all right, all right. Welcome to Geopolitics in Conflict Live. And Happy New Year, everybody. So, we are so excited to be here. By the way, guys, do you know that there are some of our viewers already celebrating New Year's?
That's right.
So, we would like to know what it's like on the other side, 2022. So, we are so excited to be here. It's the end of the year. So, as we always do, we do geopolitics stuff. But how about if we do things different a little bit today for change? And by the way, we're gonna take your questions later on. So we're gonna be talking about a few things here. Then we'll talk. You guys gonna see, okay? Get in a ride with us on this one. So, but before we launch into anything here, first we'd like to thank our viewers as always. Your support means a lot to us. Without you, we won't be here. And of course, without Elizabeth, we won't be here. So
Thank you.
I gotta be honest about it.
Yeah.
Russ and I, we can take it, but without Elizabeth, we won't be there. So we want to let you know, on a serious note, without your support, we won't be here. And we're gonna be talking about this one. Also, make sure to check us out at geopolitics.com, geopolitics.locals.com. And also check out our membership at geopoliticsinconflict.com. So that's where we offer our membership, and that's where we do live presentations for our members. Speaking of a next presentation, we're gonna be doing.
So we're actually going to be doing a Q&A next week, and I want to. Can you guys hear me? Okay, this is the first time using this microphone for all three of us. So let me know in the chat if you guys can hear me okay. But what we're going to be doing with our membership is actually really cool. So every week we're going to be doing a weekly roundup where one of us or all three of us is going to send just to our members a video of the most important things that have happened during that week. So we've got some cool stuff coming up with our membership too.
Great. So we look for it. And we're going to be talking later on about 2022, what to expect. Also remember to follow us on Twitter. Follow me at DWalalu and Elizabeth at Alchemy of E, and also TikTok and Instagram. So, well, without further ado, shall we jump into it, Ross? Shall we jump into it, Elizabeth?
Yes.
Should we jump into celebration?
Whatever you like, Ross. I'm for it. You got some champagne going on?
No, that's
Too early, right?
It's too early. It's only 11 in the morning for us.
All right. So what we decided to do, guys, I mean, we talked among ourselves here, and we decided we're gonna just provide some key highlights for 2022, geopolitically speaking or politically speaking from a global affairs. And without going into more details or depth into this, because we wanted this to be almost like a celebration of sorts. It's the end of the year. Let's just chill out, have a conversation, and we'll share with you the personal major stories of 2021. How about that? So I'm going to start with the first one, if you allow me here.
Please.
Yes, please.
I'd like to start with one of the main events of 2021. It has to do with the botched U.S. exit from Afghanistan.
Oh my God.
And we all know what it means.
Yeah.
So without going further into this, but just to highlight to you that chaotic exit was really, really a block mark in the history of U.S. foreign policy that will be marked forever. So
Similar to the Vietnam evacuation decades ago, very similar.
Exactly.
People died trying to get on helicopters. I mean, it was a disgrace for the United States all over the world.
Yeah, absolutely correct.
And it's something that stopped being talked about in the news cycle very, very quickly.
Yeah.
And as you know, one of the biggest things that I like to point out is the narrative that gets talked about in the news. You have to really pay attention because it's very it's specific, it's targeted. They want you to either pay attention to something or not. And it, to me, broke my heart in a way that got out of the news cycle so quickly. It's important. What happened there is important.
Exactly. How about the next one?
Okay.
How about some challenges for India? That's gonna be a major. And there's one thing I know about this one a little bit. It's because of the issues that has to do with the RCEP that India has withdrawn from. So India will be expecting some challenges political, that is economic as well, in addition to ethnically, because there have been some tensions between the Hindus and Muslims in India. So the bottom line, India is expected to have some challenges in 2022.
How about the Taiwan-Ukraine fabricated crisis?
Oh my gosh, you hit the nail on the head, Elizabeth. That is, I will use the term. I will concur with you on that one as far as the word fabricated, because that's what it is. Speaking of that, we're gonna be doing, by the way, we're gonna be doing break-ins this afternoon about the phone call that took place yesterday between Vladimir Putin and President Biden, and we're gonna provide you some information, and you can put the two and two together and figure out why we use the term fabricated, because it is a fabricated story regarding what's going on in Ukraine and so forth.
Yep.
What do you think about China imposes reciprocal sanctions on 5 U.S. individuals?
Oh yeah, I read about this one. I had a chance to read about it. You guys know the significance of that, what it is? It's on the global stage. That's a message to the rest of the world. You know, before U.S. will impose sanctions and that's it.
Yeah.
Not anymore. When China reciprocating now by imposing sanctions, that tells you the story right there. Enough said on that.
Absolutely. All right. Is there anything else you guys want to cover really quickly before we jump in?
No, we can move on into talking about what. Oh, there was one more story, Ross, that you and I we talked about the U.S. dollar.
Oh boy.
Yeah, that's a big one.
The developing alternative to the monetary system, leaving the U.S. dollar behind.
Exactly. I remember, I think I did a breaking news with you, Elizabeth, about that. So the financial, that is a big deal, guys. And you need to understand, 2021, it's just the beginning. Remember, with the financial system, for it to be set up, it doesn't happen overnight. It takes time. But 2021, in my opinion, and this is my opinion, marks the beginning of that journey to the financial restructuring, which the dollar is going to be a little bit.
And something to keep in mind with that is, supposedly it'll take years to accomplish, but we see how the Chinese actually operate.
They move fast.
They move lightning fast.
Yeah. That brings me back to your point, Elizabeth, about Bitcoin.
Yes.
Oh, it's because there is a conversation going on regarding now with the US dollar values going down, because you all know about inflation, guys. It's nothing new about this. Becomes the question is, where would you park your money? Where would you park your investments?
Absolutely. And we did. We had a guest on that we recorded the interview this past week, and we'll release it next week for you guys.
And who was the guest?
Greg Foss.
Oh yes,
very
deal.
Smart guy. Very smart guy. And he talked a lot about what's going to happen with the US dollar. But what I want to point out this, because something just came out about Mexico actually switching to a central bank digital currency.
Oh my God.
By 2024. So, and to be honest, I'm not sure that I feel confident about countries having central bank digital currencies, because that means they monitor every single thing that you purchase. And so Mexico has 22% of its income of the transactions that happen are in cash. And so they're not taxed. But when the only option that you have for currency is a central bank digital currency, they see every transaction, which means that 22% is going to be able to be taxed.
Oh my gosh.
So when you're looking at something like a central bank digital currency, or sort of where we're headed, you got to also weigh the options. Do you really want every single thing that you do to be tracked? Because you know they're going to sell that information to advertisers.
Absolutely.
Or use it against you for some
right.
made-up crime.
So do you really want that?
You're absolutely correct.
Well, I know you already know about this. The United States Fed coin.
Yes.
It's the exact same situation.
It is the exact same situation.
They can track, and with it, they can track everything that you do monetarily.
Yeah.
And just to tie this to what we talked about earlier about the dollars, that it gives you an idea that governments, not just the US, governments won't want to use the control over, because the financial tools, if you can, I read throughout my academic journey that one thing I learned from history is that if you want to control a country, control its finances. So it's common sense, guys. That's why we wanted to mention it to you. So, all right. Well,
Could I mention just one other thing?
sure, Ross. It's the end of 2021.
I can say it.
You see what I want.
One of the major developments that seem to me is so important is we're now seeing a united front against the United States. Or against
Oh
the
my
West.
gosh, Ross, that's a big one.
That is
That
huge.
a big one.
You're
As a
right.
matter of fact, I just read this morning about this particular point and how many analysts are now leaning towards that the trio, what I call trio, Russia, China, Iran, is going to form a very, very powerful alliance, shall we say, that's going to counter. It has the capability of countering NATO. It has the capability of countering
I saw that as
G7.
well. Yeah.
Yeah.
G7.
So
So
we're seeing any number of nations lining up with that group or going neutral. And how hard it is for the United States to win influence and allies.
well, as we always say, Ross, throughout the year, you know how we always talked about this one? About economic prosperities are the key.
Yes.
Yes, we might not agree with the system, whatever that system is, but you're going to look at the good side of it
Yeah.
and pick whatever works for you.
Yeah.
You don't have to embrace whatever. So,
Something I ran into a few years
Yeah.
ago, which I thought was really important, is what is the best way to get to world peace? Have a large middle class.
oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
And the more-
go ahead. Well, so the middle class doesn't want to go make war. The middle
No,
class
man.
doesn't
They want to be
upheave
prosperous,
any-
happy,
right.
and get
They
on
just
with their
wanna
life.
be, happy.
You're
And so the bigger the
absolutely
middle class, the more peace we're going to see in the world.
Yeah.
And if the United States butts out of other countries' business
Yeah.
and lets them be prosperous, we have a growing middle class everywhere
correct. And peaceful world.
and a peaceful world, which is what we
Yeah.
really
We
all
look
really
for
all
that,
about.
so. All right. How about if we guys talk about our major events for us in 2021 with our channel?
Can I go with the
Go
1,000 to 50,000 or
Yeah.
49,000?
No, so go
April.
ahead. Yeah.
In April of this year, I don't know how many shows we were into, maybe a dozen or 2 dozen,
Uh-huh.
More,
And-
yeah, more.
and we had 1,000 subscribers, and we were grateful for them.
Yeah.
We actually
Mhm.
celebrated when he got 1,000, and thanks to you, we're now knocking on the door of 50,000.
Indeed.
Thank you so much. We really celebrate this virtually several times a day.
Yeah.
The major event for me for 2021 regarding the channel was when we crossed in 2000. I read a comment from one of our viewers from, I think it was Thailand or Malaysia, whatever that is. He said, "I am the one who turned 1,000."
Wow.
Oh.
I don't remember the name, but I'll say thank you if you are watching. And it truly brought a smile to my face. I was
Yes.
like, whoever thought? And here it is, 2021. It's almost a few hours and it'll be over. And look where we are today. So, but of course, we can talk about all this without giving credit where credit is due. So
Thank you.
that's usually how, for me, that's how it works. When credit is due, you give credit. So,
I appreciate that very, very much.
of course, if it weren't for Elizabeth, guys, we won't be sitting here. I'll say it straightforward. Because the amount of work that takes behind the scenes, the advantage we have with Elizabeth, beside her knowledge, is understanding of how to produce videos, because that's her background. She understands this in and out. She went to one of the top film schools in the country, in the United States. So, and can I share a story?
Sure,
You know,
sure, go
when you
ahead.
were approached by some highways to be paid
Yes.
top dollars and you said no because you wanted to grow this channel. So this is why we always seek your support, and we always joke about 70 million subscribers, but we're not joking, because we see the potentials with this, because the information we provide, rest assured, you won't find it elsewhere. And some of you already testified to this,
Yeah.
because we go after truth, we go after fact to the best of our knowledge, and if we are not sure of something, we don't discuss it. So that's how.
And in our special reports, what you can expect is more in-depth analysis of some situations that we've really gone and done a labor of love, and we've created something that we've never seen anybody else do, that we think is remarkably useful to you and your family and
Exactly.
your financial well-being.
Elizabeth, can you think of any
Yes,
major
I
one
can.
for
So,
2021?
First of all, thank you, David.
Of
I
course.
really, really appreciate it. This is my entire life. For it, and it's my entire life because it's what I choose. I want to thank you also because, and both of you,
All of
because this is us. We're together.
It's a
we're a
team.
team.
You're right.
And no matter what, we've had our challenges with this, but we put each other first and we put you guys first. And that's all of us. And even right now, I want to say thank you to David because your arm is messed up right now. If you see him touching his arm is hurting a lot, but he's here. You're doing this.
And what he said is the show must go on.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it does.
So I guess my favorite part of this last year with this channel is interacting with you guys.
Oh yeah.
And I don't respond to all the messages, but I respond to as many as I can. But there are times in my life where I felt very alone in looking at something logically or being able to see what's really going on when other people don't. And a lot of what I hear from you guys is thank you so much for having the courage to speak the truth. Thank you so much because I don't feel alone anymore. And having felt alone a lot in my own life, I really appreciate that. And you guys help me actually not feel alone too. And the community that we've built is something that means a lot to me. So thank you. And if I haven't interacted with you guys personally, I would love to. Sorry if I don't get to all the messages, but that's my favorite part is talking to you guys. And even the times that I'm not on camera, I'm reading all of your chats. I'm reading all of your messages. And
let me comment about what a big job that is. Because sometimes we're getting like 17 or 1800 comments on a particular show. And it's so hard to keep up with those things. Mm-hmm. But we look at all of them.
Yeah. David, especially. David, you answer.
David responds to many of them.
Yeah, I like to read all the comments on behalf of all of us. So what is it for you, Ross? Any major episode you and I did that that can trigger some memories for 2021?
Well, the biggest celebration is how well the show is doing.
Indeed.
Mm-hmm.
And I think another real celebration is that when I look at human beings, I see people really want to get along with each other.
Yeah.
But somehow they manage to get sideways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it's another, when you look at individuals, it happens. And so you say, well, what happens to countries? Well, individuals run countries, and they get sideways.
Yeah.
Indeed.
And it's how we as a team have come together to overcome any internal things that we've been facing with each other.
Mm-hmm.
And successfully resolving them and getting on with the success of the show.
Yeah.
Indeed. Well, the major thing, at least from my perspective, is the idea, the way I look at it, is that all of us, we have different experiences and different backgrounds.
Yes.
And that's what make our show unique in a sense of, you know, I mean, when you, as we always talk about geopolitics, of course, because that's geopolitics, a lot of people don't relate geopolitics to the daily life. They think, oh, geopolitics is over there. I'm here. It has nothing to do with me.
Yeah.
Wrong. It has to do everything with you because what happened there end up trickling down to all. So to me personally, is that idea is that we do have, each one of us has specific expertise that they can all fall under that umbrella of geopolitics, and we can share that knowledge with our viewers for them to learn. For example, when you guys did the analysis of the speeches, that's very important for our viewers to start to learn how, and you guys are going to be doing more of
we
to
will
that.
do more, yes.
Yeah, because it's a skill that they can develop.
Yeah.
I don't see other channels doing about that. So we are having it here. When we talk about geopolitics, we provide an in-depth analysis to the best of our ability first, and also what the system allowed us so we won't be censored.
Yes.
That is the reason why Elizabeth went ahead and worked behind the scenes to get us on locals. That's why we have locals. We come up on locals. We have the membership there where we talk freely. Yeah. So that is the locals that link to it there. So basically the growth for 2021 has been tremendous, has been great, but that's not the end. That's just the beginning. Why? Because we believe, three of us, because we talk. We believe that we have something to offer, not only our viewers, but humanity as a whole.
Right.
Yeah.
You know? Because to me, Russ, I look at it. If I am to acquire PhD knowledge and sit on it, what's the point? What is the point?
Right.
It's useless.
Right.
You know, I know some people with their higher degrees, 2 PhDs, whatever. But guess what?
They sit on them.
They're sitting on it. So what's the point? If you
Yeah.
couldn't serve a community like ours, or you couldn't serve humanity in some capacity, yes, I understand the limits. We can't change governments overnight,
Sure.
but at least with the knowledge we have. And that's what I feel we've accomplished in 2021. And that's why it's just the beginning for us. So,
A way that I've considered this is meaning and purpose for being alive.
Yeah.
exactly.
And we've talked about it, all of us, either here or with each other.
Exactly.
And we've taken this show on as a mission in terms of this gives us something truly worthwhile to contribute to the world.
Exactly. Well, speaking of mission, this is where Elizabeth is going to be talking to you about 2022 and what
Yes.
lies ahead, guys. A lot.
A lot. So I
Take it away,
Yeah.
Elizabeth.
thank you.
Of course.
Well, so the first thing that we're going to do is my father here. Some of you have been speculating. Yes, this is my father. We both have a very, very, very strong background in human behavior. And thankfully, I want to acknowledge my father because I grew up in it. So human behavior is something I have done my entire life, and it is thanks to you. And I appreciate that very, very much. And I've received quite a lot of training after, but
It was a labor of love, by the way.
Really?
I loved every part of it,
Wow.
even when you were challenging.
Children are never challenging, I hear.
Yeah, right.
But we're doing something on the most rampant problem I think that's happening right now, and that is that people are afraid. People are
Yeah.
afraid all the time, and it's understandable why that happened. And there's an article that I'm going to post on our locals page because that's a place I could talk a little bit more about it, where there, that was engineered. That wasn't done on accident. That was engineered. And it's a terrible way to live, to be afraid all of the time. And
Wow.
so we have come up with a course that helps you sort of get out of fear and sort of learn how and when it's appropriate, and how to get out of it when it's not serving you, when it's not helping you live your life. And that's called Heart of the Warrior, and it's coming up. There's another course that we have, and it's called How to Think Like a Geopolitical Analyst, which David
Pressure.
has quite a lot of background in. So he's going to be teaching us basically how he breaks down information as a geopolitical analyst that worked for the military and is extremely highly trained, how he thinks through every piece of information so that it can be put in the context of the rest of what's happening in the world so that you can really figure out what's going on. So those are our first two. And then the last one is one that we will do on how to not get tricked by the mass media and how to sort of figure out what's going on behind the messages, because it's really important. Everybody wants your mind. Everyone wants your attention, and they want you to believe the thing that they want you to believe. But the problem is they all have agendas for wanting you to believe that. And really, we want you to be able to figure out what their agenda is so that you can figure out the truth for yourself, so that you can make up your mind yourself. There's a thing that I've observed recently, and that is that the people who are in charge seem to think the rest of us are stupid. They seem to think you're stupid and can't see that. And I don't agree with that. I think that you are extremely intelligent, and we are treating you that way.
Exactly.
I was at a public presentation where 2 senators were talking to a large audience.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the senators said, and you, the American people, have a much better government than you deserve. I go,
Whoa.
and his counterpart agreed. I mean, one was Republican, one was a Democrat. And they said,
my
your,
God.
your government is, and I said, okay, now they're looking down on us.
Yeah.
And it seems to be a universal phenomena. When you look at how unresponsive the government is to
Right.
what we really want and need, you say, okay, The conclusion I drew many years ago as an active psychologist was if people had quality information, they're much better at solving their own personal issues than someone giving them advice or someone saying, I'll take good care of you. Yeah, good luck with the government taking care of us, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely correct.
And so that's why these courses that we're putting together, I think are going to be so helpful. It's actual skill building.
Yeah.
So that you own it. You don't have to have us to tell you or somebody else to tell you. Because I can see this.
Yeah.
I've been well educated, well practiced, and I can always go back to the course again and review if I forget. But this applies to not only the government or public figures, the people around you who are trying to influence you.
Yeah.
And you say, is this what I really want?
Yeah.
Is this giving, if I do this, is this giving me the experience that I want to have?
Yeah.
And we're going to build something in it, let you know whether you want more of it or less of it.
Yeah.
Indeed. Well, so this is just a sample of what we have for 2022, and this is why, guys, we always you heard us by now always saying about the subscription and support and so forth. So if you have not subscribed yet to our channel, please do so right now, and also check out our locals page at geopolitics.locals.com and our membership at geopoliticsinconflict.com. So look forward to a lot of stuff coming up in 2022. Elizabeth also is working behind the scenes on other aspects of it. You're going to be seeing all this. You're going to be interacting with her and Ross a lot when it comes down to the psychology aspect. It's not my area, so and I tend to stay away. But it's just the how I always call it specialized information. So this is why we can always count on your support moving forward, because we're not a channel that spewed lies and all, because you know they are out there. You guys know all this. I don't need to beat the dead horse here. So yeah, go ahead, Ross.
May I add something else to say?
Certainly.
Also, put question if you want to ask a question. Put the word question in front of it, because we're going to get to questions.
We're going to open it. Yeah, go ahead, Ross.
We wanted to do something together for a long time.
Exactly.
Because we all know each other, especially I know you.
Yeah.
But we've known each other for a long time. And on our first video that we did together, people commented about there's something really good going on with the interaction with these guys. And so we trialed a number of things. And then from April till now, the kind of ways that we've figured out how to work together, we've gotten feedback from you, which has been very helpful. We figured out how to really talk to each other and how to complement each other's presentations. And I'm really happy with how this has developed, and it's continuing to develop. I mean, one of the things you might notice is we don't step on each other. We're respectful at every turn. It's something you rarely see, especially in a spontaneous show like ours.
Exactly.
I really celebrate where we've arrived at this point and look forward to where we're going.
Yeah. Well, that's why one of our viewers suggests that we might need to have our own station.
I would love that.
Which we would love that one, but you guys know the funding involved in something like that. We're not there yet.
We would like to get there.
We would like to get there, and we will work hard enough to do our part to get there.
Yeah.
So, should we open it for questions?
Yeah, we have a bunch of super stickers.
Oh, well, let's thank
Lee.
Thank you, Lee.
Okay, so yes, we have this one comes with a question.
Good.
Dips, U.S. officials applying for visas to Beijing 2022. Is there another U-turn from Dementic Biden?
I did read about this one, and I think I commented on it last time when we did Q&A.
Yeah.
It was indeed, because this is like it's bad, very, very bad when it comes down to international relations. Why? It's because it sends a message to the rest of the world that you don't take stand. You don't have a stand.
Yeah.
One day you're saying I'm going to do this, and the next day you're doing that. And in international relations, context matters. So that's basically why. Plus, China didn't invite the U.S.
Yes, that's true. Yeah.
So when you are inviting yourself,
there
is a problem with that picture.
I want to point out the human behavior of that too, because what's happened is, the President Biden said one thing, but then the officials are doing whatever it is that they want. And so that shows an ultimate lack of respect for that authority. And that's important to pay attention to, because if the government around Biden doesn't respect his authority, how is the rest of the world supposed to?
I think the answer is clear. They don't.
Exactly.
Well, and I want that to be something for you guys to also pay attention to is, he may be the front of the country, but not everyone supports what's going on.
All right, let's see the next question.
Okay.
Or next
super sticker.
Who's that? I can't see from here.
It's Mohammed.
Oh, Mohammed Zahari, Mohammed Idris.
Yes.
Thank you, Mohammed. I got it now. Thank you so much for your super sticker. We truly appreciate it.
Okay. Detroit Rock City.
Oh, I like that. Yeah, well, we all know the history of Detroit, how it used to be.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. It's sad what it is.
It is.
Thank you so much for your super sticker. We appreciate it.
What is the U.S.'s legacy regarding the Iraq invasion?
Oh, my God.
Don't start me on that, brother. I was one of those who argued against the war. The reason being because I know the history of Iran. I know the history of Iraq. I know the history of the Middle East. What I meant by Iran is I meant the conflict that took place between Iraq and Iran, which was supported by the U.S. from both sides. So the invasion, my argument was in the report that I provided was, you guys don't want to do this because you're going to open up a historical wounds that you won't be able to close. The answer I got was, oh, no. It will be a cakewalk. We just go in, liberate Baghdad, and we come out. I said, if you go in, you're not coming out till about 20 years.
Well, you were right.
And it is. So, the legacy is we turned the Middle East upside down. Iraq is not going back to what it used to be. So let's just put that to rest, because you hear some analysts in Washington saying now Iraq is democratic, and so it's nonsense. Why? Because society in Iraq is multi-ethnic. You got the Shiites, you got the Sunnis, you got the Christians. It's mixed. That's why Iraq is not going back. So the legacy we have, it's a bad one.
Boone.
Hey, Boone.
Hey.
Hi, Boone.
Thanks to you all, your show helped me to see the land of my ancestors better instead of the monsters its rivals try to portray it to be. Thanks.
You're more than welcome.
That's very interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, he has a question too. Sorry, Boone, I got to get back to it. It's a little bit I have to sort through everything. That's why if you guys put question, it's so much easier for me to see it. And Boone, you did do that. I'm trying to get up to it.
And Boone, by the way, has been with us forever.
From the beginning, I think.
Thank you for your support, Boone.
There it is.
All
right. Do you think the EU will ever get to a point where it could operate independently?
That's an interesting question, because it's been some conversations regarding that aspect, but only from a foreign policy, to my knowledge. The military, it's been discussed behind closed doors, believe it or not. And why is that behind closed doors? Because NATO. But there is a conversation, and the reason being because EU wants to move with its own foreign policy, independent from the US. I don't see it happening quickly. It might not even happen, because when you think of the EU, who do you think of? Germany and France. Germany's been playing double face. Germany is saying to the world stage, we support human rights, and turn around and sells $9 billion of weapons to Egypt, which we all know about the human rights abuses there, and so forth. So could it happen? Yes, it could. But it will happen only in the case of, officially U.S. leadership is gone. It's on its way down, but it's going to take time. The problem I see with the EU is because you got different countries at a different economic level and military strength and so forth. So it won't be easy for them to come to an agreement together, unless the main one. The one thing you can notice right now is Brexit. It's hammering Britain. And that Brexit, and guess what it's going to lead to?
Other companies.
Independence within UK.
Yes.
You don't hear much about it in the Western media, but that is where some individuals I had a chance to converse with privately, That's where things are going. You know, the Sunday Times and the BBC and the Western are not going to report that. There is a conversation right now that the fallout of the Brexit is that there is a talk of independence from other countries within the UK.
Yeah.
Because their economy is going down.
Sinking, yeah.
So,
Okay. Da Juice 911.
No, thank you.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much. Always love your content. Please continue informing us with great info. Happy New Year.
happy
you
New
as
Year
well.
to you too.
Okay. East meets West.
Oh,
Hey.
Hey, Space West.
Happy
Nice to see
New
you
Year
again.
to Doctors David, Ross, and Elizabeth. Wishing you all the best for 2022, and may your show grow from strength to strength.
Thank
Thank
you.
And then Hang Tua.
That sounds good.
And I want to also say thank you. You are one of our most active commenters, and your comments are always very, very intelligent, very well researched. I see you in the chat.
So thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, question. Okay. Somebody asked about the dog. Hold on. Okay. We're good. Sorry, guys.
Yeah.
This is harder.
Yeah, the dog is just one for their walk.
Okay,
You know,
there you
join
go.
them. There it is.
Very
Very
good.
proud.
Hey, Bernikov.
How does Congress keep sending taxpayers' money to Israel? That's a great question. Do any of you Americans ever shout out loud protesting in massive public protests?
That is an interesting one.
Yeah.
If
Oh,
I may
boy.
take this on,
Go
because
ahead.
I just find out this morning again. You know, usually before I came to the studio for this time,
Yeah.
I delve into the information. U.S. just
Yeah.
agreed to $1 billion of weapons to Israel. So yes, it is a big
Yeah.
concern and a big question. Most Americans do not understand or know about the lobbyist, the
Yeah.
Israeli lobbyist group. Very powerful here. It can make you or break you, politically speaking.
Mhm.
So no presidents will take on. There is one other piece of information that I will share with you guys. As one who worked in Washington, it's not classified, but just for you to know, any new president in the United States will have to sign a letter from Israel.
Really? What does the letter say?
That's all we can say.
Got it. Got it.
So that's been the tradition here in the United
Mhm.
States, and any president, his or her first day in office, will have to sign that letter. So.
I don't know how many people in the United States actually realize how powerful the Israeli lobby is.
They
It
are.
really is.
Yeah.
It is. I don't know if it's the most powerful, but it's very, very powerful.
Yeah.
That's why they get so many
Yeah.
billions every year
Yeah.
from the U.S.
And let's make one thing clear, guys. Do not confuse the Israeli government with the Jewish people.
Right.
Mhm.
I have Jewish friends. They disagree with what Tel Aviv is doing or conducting, whatever that is. So let's make that clear. That's like
Yeah.
when we talked about, remember when we talked about Canada with
Yeah.
the genocide stuff, and the Catholic Church was,
Yeah.
you don't condemn the entire Catholic Church.
Right.
My neighbors are Catholic.
Yeah.
Those guys will take their coat out of their back and give it to you. That's how
Right.
wonderful they are. So
Right.
we shouldn't, just FYI, we shouldn't mix, it's like for us here in the US. American people are wonderful. They'll
Yeah.
do anything for you. But American people are not the government.
Yeah.
So that's two different. And you are right, Beryukov. Most Americans, they need to, it's because they are not informed. That's why you're not seeing the reactions you mentioned.
Well, so I want to speak to that a little bit, because the other part of the question is why aren't the American people doing something about it? And I think there's a couple of reasons. I think one, there's a lot of distraction here. There's so much coming at us from every different direction. People don't really understand how the government works. And that's complicated too, because they're the people you see on the front, right? You see the president, you see the Congress people, but you don't see the lobbyists.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a conversation that's just now starting, because when you're taught in school, you're taught, and you know this very well.
Well, I teach the government, so.
Yes, David teaches government. So you're not taught
You're right.
the full extent of what's happening. You're not taught how many lobbyists each company or country has, you're not taught what they do or how much money goes into people's pockets. You're not taught any of that. And so people growing up don't have an understanding of anything past the like foundational basic structure of government. So people in the United States are having to relearn how this works.
Yeah.
And they're learning it because so much is in chaos right now.
And just to add to this quickly, based on some of my contact, there are about 5 to 7 lobbyists for every member of Congress.
Oh,
Oh my God.
You do the math.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that's how powerful they are.
Wow.
It's because all I need to do as a lobbyist, come to 2 of you. You
Mhm.
both, for example, running for Congress.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All I need to do is I come to you, I said, hey, here's $10 million for your campaign re-election.
Right.
In return, I need A, B, C, and D.
Right.
What you gonna do? If you say no,
Yeah.
guess what I'm gonna do? I'm
Go
gonna go to
someplace
your.
else. Yeah.
I'm gonna go to your opponent.
Yep.
Say, hey, so and so didn't want to take the 10 million. It is.
Yep.
That's how it works. So, but based on what I was informed about, was about between 5 to 7 lobbyists for every member of Congress.
That's
another consideration here is
a lot.
how much distraction is really going on.
Yeah.
Not only misinformation, but it looks like distraction is well organized
Yeah.
about issues that don't mean anything,
Right.
as opposed to issues that will change the
Change.
quality of life of the American people.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Let's see next question,
Okay.
please. And I always like the reading questions. They are very interesting.
They are.
Very,
they
very,
are.
very, very. It reflects literally the intellectualism of our viewership. You know, those individuals are very, very well
This one.
informed.
East meets West.
Oh yeah.
Do you think Putin will succeed in preventing NATO expanding further eastward?
Do you want the short answer? Is yes. But here's the thing. Watch the breaking news we're gonna do around 3:00. Is that correct, Elizabeth?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It might be a different time, but
Whatever.
it's happening today.
It's gonna be happening today, and we're gonna be tackling this point. And by the way, I was invited to do an interview on Monday about this particular topic.
Oh,
Very
cool.
So-
Can you say where?
In Washington.
Okay.
So that's with Sputnik News.
Oh, that's
yeah.
right.
Yeah, they reached out, and so the short answer is yes, he will be able to do that. But here is how you read this one. You know, as an analyst, you're going to look at it in terms of, you know, Putin already presented the 8 key points.
Mhm.
Guess what? NATO never responded. U.S. never responded.
Oh, wow.
But to understand the impact of this,
Yeah.
why did Putin put that into the public eye? Is to highlight the hypocrisy of
Yeah.
the West is saying.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, President Biden yesterday told Putin, I look forward to a dialogue. Well, wait a minute.
Yeah.
You're looking forward to a dialogue, but you didn't answer the questions that Russia asked for.
Yeah.
So guarantee
Yeah.
all what Russia is asking for guarantees that NATO will not expand eastward. And they couldn't answer those.
Yeah.
So the answer is yes. And it will be a red line for Russia. And I think, and I believe, not only think, they will react militarily to that. Because they already moved 2 main assets. And you know what the 2 main assets are? Nuclear missiles and nuclear submarines.
Oh,
They have been moved
Yeah.
into the Black Sea. So they are, especially for the marine, for the submarine, it's under the water in Black Sea.
Okay. Dakian Sun.
Oh,
Thank
Dakian.
you.
Thank you,
so
Dakian.
much. Happy New Year to our fantastic hosts and all dear friends here.
From all of us, thank you
Yes,
so
thank
much,
you.
and Happy New Year to you too as well. And thank you for your support, Dakian.
And, if,
Dakian's been with us too.
Mhm.
From
Long
and
time.
Dakian, I'll look if you have a question in a minute. Plato.
hi, Plato.
Oh yeah, Plato.
Hey, thank you, Plato.
Thank you, Plato.
Plato has been one of our supporters for a while too. Biden canceled 100 million masks from China because cotton came from Xinjiang because of Congress passing the Uyghur Forest Act that is then shooting their own foot. So go ahead.
All I say is short answer to that is it politically motivated?
Yeah,
Yes.
All I can say.
Clearly,
because
Yes.
there's
clearly,
no truth
clearly.
to it.
And the biggest thing I think about what's happened here in this situation is, you know, in business,
Uh-huh.
it is very wise to because ultimately everything that how do I put this? What we're looking at is business with China. Okay. And so this has to do with business with China. And I think that that's a very slippery slope because almost everything that we have here is made in China. And even some of our military equipment is made in China. And so I think because manufacturing isn't happening here, we don't have manufacturing here. The United States doesn't make very much. I think it would be wise before starting to put policies in place to really explore what are all of the ramifications of this policy. And I think that this particular policy perhaps was not thought all the way through.
Clearly. Looks like it was hardly thought through at all.
Yes. And I think it's going to have consequences economically that perhaps the United States is not really looking forward to. Okay. Let me grab a question.
Yeah, it's a very complicated topic. It's kind of...
It is. And our economy is how... is how we live, right? So we talked about this with Germany and how Germany is shutting down their nuclear power plants with no reasonable way to create energy. And so it does it does affect. Let's see. Okay, how about this one? Cherry Katori. Do you foresee that the EU will break down? It looks like there are many disagreements there.
I do see it personally, moving forward down the road. When I wrote the book about Russia, I touched on the EU foreign policy towards, well, when I say EU /US, towards Russia at the time. So, and I did disclose the information that the fragmentation from within, not a fragmentation, rather, I'll use the term, the conversation inside the EU, behind the scenes, it's leading into that direction. And this is why, especially for the one about the military front, you want to read about it in Western media, but there is a conversation going on in Europe within certain capitals about Europe having its own force. I don't see it happening because it's going to take time for them. But you can have a military force till you ensure the economic structure that can support that.
Right.
So and when you have countries like sort of their economy that is so weak, it becomes a problem.
And you take a look at the U.S. forces that are in, say, Germany, and the U.S. pays 50% of that.
Same with NATO. We pay over 70% of its budget. And it becomes the question, and as any observer will ask, what are we paying NATO for? From our tax money. So why our money is going to support almost 30 countries that, like Montenegro, part of it, that its budget cannot go beyond the budget of the Massachusetts Police Department. So what are we paying that taking money out of an average Joe, average Jane here in the US and give it to NATO? And second, it will become the question of what is the relevancy of NATO?
And what are the implications to the American people of that money continuing to go to NATO? When we take a look at the inflation rate that affects every single one of us, and that's a partial contributor to that inflation rate.
And debt.
And national debt.
Absolute debt spiral that the United States is in right now, including the unfunded debts of Social Security and Medicare. The debt is far higher than it's being reported as.
Right. Yeah, and that's where it becomes the question is what is the relevancy of NATO? And this is why, by the way, guys, this is why you're seeing the tensions regarding Ukraine. Those are not about Ukraine. It's about the justification for NATO's existence. That's it. And I think if they're playing with fire too much, they're gonna get burned. Because I guarantee you this, because knowing what I know, based on the research that I did on Russia, you cross that red line regarding NATO at Russia's doorsteps, they're gonna react militarily. And NATO is gonna have to bear the consequences for that, because Eastern Europe will be the first one to be burned.
Oh,
yeah.
It just it's a fact. You know,
Yeah.
when you look at it from a military perspective, you know, Russia doesn't have to do much. They got a long, medium range, short range. They got everything.
Mhm.
And to me, the last 72 hours, when they moved the missiles and the submarines, both nuclears,
Yeah.
that's your message right there. You know, whether it's just for posture or preparation in case.
Yeah.
Dakyan Sun.
Yeah, it is.
Do you think the U.S. government will ever release the money they hold, which belongs to the Afghanistan people?
Afghanistan. There is a talk right now behind the scenes about that one, the $9 billion. There's a talk going on. I mean, there are some issues now in Afghanistan. As a matter of fact, yesterday, the former president, Ashraf Ghani, came on the media and said, you know, I left the country because I want a peace. But the whole talks with the groups in that part of the world wasn't about, we can't say the word because it gets censored, you guys know. It wasn't
Whoever
about
that group is running the country right now.
it was all about peace. That's nonsense. You know, it's nonsense. You know, it was a lost war from the get-go. You know, 20 years, the amount of money that was wasted, taxpayers' money, American money, you know, it's our money.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, but when you got people that are not informed, they are distracted, they are manipulated by the information, the news, and so forth. You know, and this is one thing you guys gonna dive into.
Yeah.
And you guys gonna find it, by the way, very, very useful to you as a tool in your life. This is not about just geopolitical information, whatever. The information that Ross and Elizabeth is gonna be sharing with you regarding how to decipher the psychological message for you to understand how to read between the line is gonna serve you well.
Thank you. And that actually goes really well into the next question. Po Yin So, is that right?
That's very good.
Question. There seems to be more channels coming out to debunk lies the media created. Is are Americans and the world waking up?
It appears so. Because you see a lot of channels now that are coming up with pretty darn good information.
Yeah.
We know because we track them pretty carefully. Matter of fact, we have some of them on our show.
So what's happened in the last decade or so is that media companies have consolidated to basically 6 major corporations that control all of the media in the United States. Well, the problem with that is that you don't get very much diversity of information. And so, especially the last couple of years, people have started to wake up, and they have started to notice that, you know, the narrative that is being pushed isn't what they're observing. It's not what they're seeing with their own eyes. And so they're watching this other information come in from other places, and they're saying, well, this matches what I think from the information that I can see, that I've gathered. So it is, there is a big push right now. And I think maybe across the world, because with 6 companies controlling almost all of the media that people were seeing, you know, people can't fit into these tiny little boxes.
Right.
We don't fit so neatly into these tiny little boxes. And so, you know, I think that's true. Is that your take too?
It is indeed, because it starts to provide a narrow vision or narrow version of the information that will not allow you to expand beyond.
Yeah.
So now the media, whatever that media is, limiting your boundaries for not thinking outside the box.
Yeah.
That's the purpose of it.
Well, and it turns out that people want to grow.
Indeed.
That's one of the biggest human drives, is to grow. We all want to move forward with our lives. And if you ask yourself, what do I really want? It's usually to move forward. And so you can't move forward by constricting. You can only move forward by growing. And so I think partially that the media, the way that it's been, and the politicians, the way that they've been, have squeezed people too hard. And when you squeeze people too hard, what do they want to do? They want to grow. They want to expand. And so I do see that happening. It's a little bit chaotic, a lot chaotic.
Yeah.
It's very, very
Okay.
chaotic, but I do see it happening.
You're right. You're right.
Okay. Hold on. I had one more. I saw it. There are a lot of questions on here, guys.
Yeah.
I'm doing my best.
That's all right.
A lot of them are good too. I hate to see it
Okay.
just flash by them.
I know. I'm doing my best, guys. DRS Metal. Has China called out the US on hypocrisy on human rights? racism, Native American genocide, and the treatment of Muslims and invading Middle Eastern countries.
Over and over and over again. And they're remarkably clear about it. With the deal with the genocide in Canada, racism in the United States, I mean, all the things that we see, the Chinese and Russians both are calling it out in spades, really clearly.
Yeah, and that is an indication of the shift in geopolitics.
Yeah.
That's the way I look at it.
And they're not being timid about it. They're saying this is hypocrisy. Hypocrisy with capital H.
Well, that's why it becomes the question of, do we live in a true democracy? Aristotle back then warned about the danger of democracy. So,
well, it's been replaced, as we've talked about before, with a plutocracy.
Plutocracy.
The 1% that have power and money dictate practically everything that goes on inside the economy.
Absolutely correct. Absolutely.
And that's what we have here.
Okay, this is our last question, guys.
All right.
Lien.
Good enough.
Why is little Lithuania taking on mighty China?
I've asked myself that question because we're following it, and I can't understand why they're bothering unless someone else is inspiring them.
And Lithuania is funneling weapons to Ukraine. That comes from the U.S. So Lithuania is a very, very tiny former Russian enclave, and it's because it will be very, very noticeable if the U.S. comes out. You do it through a third country that is irrelevant. How long will it take Russia to walk over Lithuania?
How many minutes?
Yeah, 5
exactly.
minutes.
Yeah.
So that's the whole purpose of it. Why Lithuania is this? It's just because, first of all, geography. You got to keep that in mind, because where it is in comparison to Poland and Ukraine and Belarus to a degree, but also because it's convenient, politically convenient, to use a country like that to send a message, whatever there's. In this case, it has to do with China. But the Western media did not disclose that we are sending weapons to Lithuania to send to Ukraine.
Wow.
So I found that out.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, good. So
this has been quite a year for all of us, including you.
Indeed,
so much has gone on.
Yeah.
And I think one of the things that we're wanting to focus on is the positive that's gone on this year.
Yeah.
Because if you just look at the negative, you're going to experience stress, anxiety, fear, discontent, distrust.
And second thing, Russ, why would you want to even surround yourself with negativity to begin with?
Right.
None of us would want that. So, for me personally, what I learned a lot from this is about Southeast Asia through our channel. Through our channel. It's because the questions and the comments from our viewers. I mean, there were some content that I end up using in some of my writings. Of course, I asked permission for that, and most of our viewers said we got no problem, because it was information from the ground right there. Those people on the ground. Even yesterday, it was yesterday about Australia. The guy, oh my gosh, I didn't know about this channel, and all of a sudden subscribe to it and watch the stuff, and it's like, you guys are good. So I learned a lot, especially in Southeast Asia. I've been traveling around that part of the world, but through our channel, I learned a lot from that one. So I want to say thank you to all for sharing that information with us. So we, as we said at the beginning, look forward to 2022. It's gonna be very packed, and we've been working on some products, shall we say, because we wanted to grow and so forth, and we're gonna keep moving forward because, as we said, as Elizabeth mentioned, if you want to grow, you have to expand. And this is are we going to become our own station?
I hope so. It's something that I would like planned, because like one of the questions that was asked, the more experts we can bring on, the more people we can give you guys that are, they're not hidden, but they're kind of hidden gems in a way.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Some of these people are absolute subject matter experts that we've brought on that you guys may never have heard of, that frankly we may never have heard of. I also want to say, if you guys want episodes from us, if you want us to do things, if you have if you have questions for us that we can turn into a video, or topics you want us to discuss, put it in the comments. This is your community too.
Yeah, it's not just us, because it goes both ways.
Yeah.
We learn from you as much as you learn from us.
Absolutely.
So that's our motto for this, because we want to move forward together as a community. So this is what our hope for 2022. Any last word, Ross?
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Happy New
We
Year.
want the very best life you can have in 2022. And I wish it for all of us.
Indeed.
Yes.
Well, we look forward to seeing you in 2022. So have a good day. As always, stay informed. Till next time. Bye-bye.